Alright, I got it laid out on the floor. And keep in mind, I'm building this harness for a Turbo 400 transmission, so there's no transmission wiring, so unfortunately I won't be able to help you with that part. But this will give you the basic idea of what is involved. Now I started stripping off the loom here. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of tape. Just gotta have a sharp razor blade. However, you gotta be super careful not to, cut into the wiring. Of course, it's not really a big deal if you do. You'll just have to fix it, but create more work for yourself. So this is the first part. No brain power is involved in stripping all this off. It's just a lot of work, very time consuming. But I'll get back with you guys when everything is all stripped off and we got a nice clean wiring harness to work with. Then I'll be printing out the pinouts for these and which ones we can depin from lt1swap.com. There's some diagrams on there, very helpful. It's what I used on the last swap, so I highly recommend going to that website and printing them out. Alright, I'm making good headway on stripping the wire loom off. I just printed up my pinouts. Give you kind of a close-up of that. Big shout out and thanks to lt1swap.com. That's where you can find these pinouts. So basically we got our blue and we got our red right here. And it's pretty simple once you get the idea of how it all works. All the yellow are the wires that you're going to be removing that you don't need. Some of these are not highlighted that you can also remove, like, where is it? Four-wheel drive right there. Four-wheel drive switch. I'm not going to be using that, so that can also be removed. Basically, all the sensors, they have a power wire, which is not shown on these diagrams. The power wire goes directly to the fuse panel, the fuse box, which I'll be building one of those later on down the road. And then you got your power wire from the PCM, which is all of these. So all the yellow is going to be removed, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so to depin these, it's very simple. You got this little plastic thing here. There's two clips on either side, and it pops right off. I'll do this one to show. There's a little clip in there, one on either side. Comes right off like that, and then you can push the wire up from the back, and the pin comes right out, and then you can cut it right off. What I do is I usually double check, make sure it's one that you have to remove, and I usually cut it a ways down here so I can save the pin in case I ever need one. I save these. I cut it down so it gives me enough material to work with. Alright, just finished removing all the wires that I don't need. Now keep in mind, this is also the transmission wiring for 4L60. If you're keeping the 4L60, you're going to need to pay attention to the chart and make sure you don't remove any of the automatic transmission, the electronic transmission wiring. But you will still be removing a lot of wires for evap and stuff like that. Now when you take those plastic covers off I showed you earlier, you flip it around here, and this is where the numbers are. You're probably going to have to take a wire brush and brush it off. Mine was really dirty and corroded. It's aluminum, and I had to wire brush it for a little bit to get the numbers to show. So that's where the numbers are, and just follow them carefully. The chart helpfully has the colors of the wires as well, so you can double check and make sure you're removing the right ones. So the next step is to pull all these wires out of the harness and go from there. Alright, it's been a while since I worked on the harness. I've been busy with other things, and basically now I'm at the point where all the wiring that I don't need is removed from here, depinned blue and red out of the blue and red connectors. And now I've got all these random wires here that I am labeling. You're going to want to label everything. It'll make things go a lot smoother. For example, this right here is PCM ignition, key on. This is PCM battery supply, so this is constant power for like memory and stuff like that. This is key on power, and this is another pink wire ignition supply wire. And right here we got bank 1 sensor 1 O2 sensor. That's one of the wires for that. And then a yellow here, which is a crank position sensor that I cut off when I was getting the harness. So I have another parts harness that I'll grab the connector from when I wire that in. And this here is the coolant temperature sensor, which is that guy on the side of the block there, or the head there. That tells the computer what the temperature is, and it kind of helps control the air fuel mixture and stuff like that. All those pink wires go into key on power. Those are the coils and the injectors. So you're going to want to look at your diagram here and follow all the wires and label everything and keep track of everything. All those black wires are the grounds. Now it looks complicated, but that's all just a bundle of wires that is not going to be used. Originally on these harnesses, they have all these different spots that are different wires that have to be grounded, and they're all grounded separately here and there, and some of them are bundled together, you can see right here, but it's just a big mess from the factory. What I like to do is all the ground wires are going to go into one big fat ground cable, and they're all going to be soldered together into one and ground on the back of the block. That way you got one spot that you gotta check if you have an issue. It makes it so much easier. So now I'm to the point where I'm labeling everything. Once I get done labeling everything, I'm going to set this up on the engine, plug all the connectors in, shorten or lengthen wires, and loom it. I'll show you the process as I go along. Alright, hey guys, what is up? It's getting chilly out here in western New York. It's getting down into the 40s at night. You're probably wondering what happened to the rest of the how-to video on the harness. Well, I just didn't feel like filming, and I didn't feel like I was explaining it good enough, and I realized it's really not easy to make a how-to video on the wiring harness. So it made me really appreciate the guys that have made videos on it that helped me out when I was building the first one I did. It's really not an easy thing to cover. It's hard to explain it properly. So I kind of, tossed the idea of doing that. And it's just going to be part of the update, and maybe some of the information will be able to help somebody. I got a bit of an update for you guys, and it's been a bit since my last video clip. I got the harness, it's all finished, it's in the trunk. The trunk is locked, the keys are not with me, so I'm not going to open that and show you at the moment. But I'll show you it later on in the video. I picked up some fat tires for the back here. These will look pretty sweet. I'm really digging it. It's going to sit right about there if my calculations are right. I might try to lower it a little bit, but also the weight of the car might bring it down just enough to be just right. I don't want it too close to the wheel well. It is going to stick past the wheel well, so I got to have enough room. Here's the rear end, the 10 bolt posi here, 323 gears. I'm getting it put back together. It was partially taken apart because the guy I bought it from was doing a disc brake conversion and decided that it would be easier just to, easier and cheaper to get an axle that was already disc brake. So got it back together for the most part. Got to put the axles back in. This thing looks to be in really nice shape. Very nice shape. The teeth are in very good shape. Trying to figure out what I'm going to do here for all of the things that make it work. I picked up some Camaro trailing arms there. Well, I actually ordered them on eBay, and those are the trailing arms that go with this rear end. So obviously I'm going to leave that bracket right there so that I can bolt to there, and those arms come right out where the frame is, so I'm going to be able to make a nice bracket right on the frame for those. That'll be easy. The hard part is the springs. I'm trying to decide whether I want to use Camaro springs and leave this axle just the way it is for ease of finding another one down the road if this blows up or something. I could just swap it right out or customize this, and then, you know, and then I would have to change the gears and all and change everything else in the housing, which is no big deal. But if I'm in a pinch on a road trip or something and just want to swap it out quick with another one, it'd be much nicer to have a stock setup. But I think what I'm probably going to end up doing is cutting this up and using the original springs in the car and making new mounts, because this is not going to work where this is. But I'm going to leave this bracket on because I got to put a panhard bar on. I'm going to try to use the original 56 Buick panhard bar because it literally runs in the same spot. So I'm going to just have to tweak it a little, but I think it'll work. So that's that side of things. Up front, I got the engine almost ready to go in. I got the valve covers painted flat black. That's kind of the theme on this car, is going to be flat black engine components. I want to try to make the engine just kind of blend in and look like it's original. This car is going to be a patina car. I did sand a little on this side, it needs a little more sanding. I got to get rid of that red spray paint. This is hopefully what the final product will look like. Kind of this, you can see that's what it looked like before, that crappy blue spray paint. Sanded down to the original right here. This is what I want the car to look like, and then the top, once that crappy blue spray paint is sanded, that should be nice white. So anyway, I'm talking a real lot, but I got a lot to talk about. This here is the coolant cross pipe, which I found at the junkyard. On my Chevy, what I did was I used two front ones to tie in the front and the back ports. I used two of these front original, you know, cross steam pipes. Steam pipes is the word I'm looking for. And then I just used rubber hose with a T to tie it in. But this is a lot cleaner. It was cool. I was able to find that at the junkyard. And I got my oil pressure, mechanical oil pressure gauge adapter in the back of the block. This thing's basically ready to go in. As you guys may remember from the last couple videos, I replaced rear main seal gasket and the rear cover gasket, so that's all good there. I got torque converter there. That's the one that was with this transmission. I got all resealed up, turbo 400, ready to go. And I just got this in the mail, my conversion flex plate for the old style transmission, and the heavy duty torque converter with the 6 bolts, so I can use all 6 bolts, and it's got the spacer built in. That way you don't have this thing, this spacer here, which works fine, but you know, I kind of like when it's all one piece. And there's the bolts for it. So I'll be installing that tonight. And hopefully the weekend I'll have the engine in the car, if all goes good. Up here I got the engine mounts all finished, all welded up, painted flat black. Like I said, that's kind of the theme with this car. So that's what's going on over Clapped Out Classics garage here. Well, I said I would show you the wiring harness. Here it is, another night out here. I am beat. Had a tough day at work. But I'm gonna finish off the video. Show you the wiring harness. Looks pretty good. Just gotta wire up the fuse box. That's ready to go. Got a lot of parts back here. My coils, hood pieces and stuff like that. Even got some old nail head stuff over there. I got this tire kind of mocked up the way I want it to look. That's more the look I'm going for. Thinking I might run them without the hubcaps. I think it kind of looks better and gives it more of a race car look. But that's probably about how much it's going to stick out. And I gotta figure out what springs I'm gonna have to use in order to make this stiff enough so it doesn't bottom out all the time. But yeah, that's what it looks like with the hubcaps. It looks a little too snazzy for my taste. So that's where I'm at. But yeah, it's hard to tell on camera, but that's kind of what I'm going for. Something like that. Really hard to tell on camera. It looks way better in real life, but and then someday I really want to convert this to disc brake. They sell a kit that has a bracket, so you can use a early 70s Buick Skylark rotor with Chevy Astro van caliper, and it still has the 5-on-5 bolt pattern, but I could get an adapter to go from 5-on-5 to 4 3/4. That way I can use those cool skinny tires I got and kind of have it match all the way around. But that's later on down the road. I might try to cut one of those springs out, one of those coils I mean, get it down. I've had the engine in the car and it only goes down like 1/2 inch, so it sits really high. It needs to come down a lot. And if you look at those springs, they are really heavy duty springs for that really heavy nail head. That engine was super heavy. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it weighed twice or more as much as the 5.3. So that's why those are so beefy. But still, the car sat. The tire was probably there. Still pretty high. Anyway, I'm going to quit talking and I'm going to conclude the video here. Stay tuned if you want to see more. Hit like, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this project. Let me know if you have any valuable information. If you've ever worked on one of these before and you have any pointers or tips of any kind. I still got a lot of the original stuff on the car. For now, I still have the original brake system, which I'm a little sketched out about, but I heard they're actually pretty good. However, I will be upgrading that as soon as I get this thing where the drivetrain works great and properly.